Hey friend, I'm Robin May, and a few of the professional hats that I wear includes being a transformational speaker, a life coach, and a licensed therapist. And personally, well, I'm a wife, a mommy to 3 girls, and a pastor's wife, just to name a few. Girl, I'm over here doing all the things while trying to stay in shape and keep my skin clear. But the truth is, I don't want to be known for being busy. I think that's a scheme that somebody set up. No, I want to be known for living a life that is in perfect alignment with what God intended, and I want to help you do the same. So it's with that in mind, I'd like to welcome you right here to Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. Over here, we're creating a safe space to have real conversations with real women on real topics. This is a judgment-free zone where we can be vulnerable and honest and curious about our lives so that we can elevate not just what we do, but who we are. So if any of that resonates with you, again, welcome to our safe space. This is Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. Hey girl, it's Robin May, and you are listening to Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't worry. A video is going to start shortly. And if this is your first time here, can you give me a minute? Because I got to talk to my loyal listeners because, girl, I got to apologize to them. All right, ladies, I know that we missed a podcast episode last week, but if you have been following along here on the podcast or on social media, wait a minute. You are following me on Instagram, right? Robin May Online. So if you've been listening to the podcast, or if you've been following along on social media, you know that we were knee deep in launching the summer camp for Christian wives. And girl, it is officially launched. And I am so excited about the vision that God has given for this. It's not going to stop over the summer. It's going to keep going, and you are going to get a chance to be a part of it. So if you are new here, welcome to Intentional Conversations with Robin May and friends. And again, if you are watching this on YouTube, a video is about to come up, I promise. But let me tell you what we're going to do in this episode. We are still in our series called I Believe in Marriage. And actually, this is the last episode in the series. And then we will have a couple of one-off episodes, not based on a series. We're going to have, I think, 2 more episodes, and then this season will be a wrap. But this is the last episode in the series of I Believe in Marriage. And I am giving you a treat because I have been knee-deep in the preparation and the launch of the Wives Summer Camp. What I thought would be cool is if you got a snippet of the Wives Intensive right here on the podcast. Okay, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, we just launched the Summer Camp for Christian Wives, and it is a 2-part experience. Part 1 is what's called a Wives Intensive. It is pretty much a 3-hour masterclass, honey. We are going deep on 3 topics. Topic 1 is the truth about communication. Topic 2 is fix your foundation. And then topic 3 is what questions you need to ask yourself before you throw in the towel. So that's part 1. That's the Wives Intensive, which is a 3-hour masterclass. Well, part 2 is a 30-day private podcast where every single day the participants are either getting a prayer that I am praying over them with scripture, or they are getting a principle that they can apply to their marriage, or they're listening into a powerful conversation with one of my friends who is committed to marriage. And so for this final episode in the I Believe in Marriage series, I wanted to share with you a snippet from the Wives Intensive. I'm going to share with you a snippet from the Wives Intensive. So I will introduce each snippet and I'll come back on with audio only, just like this, but each snippet will actually be video. Okay. So I'm going to give you a snippet from the truth about communication. I'm going to give you a snippet from Fix Your Foundation, and I'm going to give you a snippet from the 3 questions you need to ask yourself before you throw in the towel. Okay, girl, I know I'm talking a lot. Listen, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast. Share this with somebody. Post it. Let them know this is the place to be. Because over here at Intentional Conversations with Robin May and Friends, we are talking about all the things. And girl, make sure you DM me on Instagram and tell me your greatest takeaway. All right, first, let's go into this snippet on the truth about communication. In this snippet, I'm really walking you through what I mean when I say your issue in your marriage more than likely isn't really your communication. It's something else going on, and I want to help you understand what it is. Listen to this, and we'll be back. We experience challenges in our communication, but that isn't the root issue. What I have found, y'all ready for the root? Isn't that a song? Are y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready for the root? Listen, more often than not, what you are calling a communication issue is really an issue with your connection. The issue, more often than not, isn't the words that your man is saying to you. The issue is that you are having a challenge with your communication. Do you guys remember that old school Verizon commercial where the guy, what was his name? I think people know the name. That old school Verizon communication commercial where it would say, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Do y'all remember that commercial? That commercial really was pretty good because I often think about it. The guy would say, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? The issue wasn't the words he was saying. The words were fine. I need y'all to get this. Listen, this could be really transformative in your marriage. When he was saying, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? It was nothing wrong with the words he was saying. The issue is that there was a breakdown in the in the connection. There was static in the connection. If the person on the other end of that phone had have been able to hear him, he wouldn't have been offended. She wouldn't have been offended because all he was saying was, can you hear me now? The issue was the connection. Y'all see, I got excited about that because I think if you can get that, you're on the road to being free. So when a couple plops down on my couch out of frustration and they say we can't seem to communicate, I listen to them, I have them expound on the issue, and then I explain to them the issue is not really your communication, the issue is your connection. Now let me pause here, and I want to make an observation because I want some of you to understand something. There are certain, get ready to take a note, there are certain hot button issues that couples deal with. There are certain hot button issues that couples deal with. I want to give you the 5 hot button issues that go across the board. Get ready to write this down. I'm going to pause here because I believe some of you are already saying, wait a minute, Robin, I have some friends who need to get this information. I have some friends who need access to what you are teaching. Don't you worry, you are going to get a discount code that you can share with your friends for them to participate in the entire 30-day experience. I already believe some of you are saying, you know what? Listen, friends don't let friends struggle in their marriage. And so you're going to be able to send that code to your friends. And even right now, you got a badge that says, I am attending summer camp. You can go ahead and post that and let them know, I got a hookup for you. I got a hookup for you. Text me because I got a hookup for you. And you can give them a discount code. What are those 5 hot button issues? There are 5 hot button issues. What are they? How we spend our free time or our leisure time or our recreational time. Y'all know, let me see if y'all can guess. Let me take a moment, try to guess. I want you to try to guess. What are the 5 hot button issues? Take a moment. I'm going to play the Jeopardy song out loud. I'm going to play it. I'm going to sing it. Is that how it goes? Yeah, I used to really love Jeopardy. I never got any of the answers right, but I loved it. Okay, here are the 5 button issues. Number 1, your free time, your leisure time, how you spend your recreational time. Number 2, y'all already know that money, honey. Number 3, the disbursement of household responsibilities, how we handle the household responsibilities. Number 4, sex. Number 5, extended family. For a long time, if you look this up, if you look up hot button issues, you will probably see that it says in-laws. It probably says in-laws. I have found that it's not just your in-laws, it is extended family, period, sometimes even extended friendships. So when you do your own research and you say, Robin, you said extended family and this says in-laws, I have found that it is not just his mother and his father, your mother and your father, it is extended family. So those are the 5 hot button issues that show up in marriage. Let's go through them again. How you spend your leisure time, your recreational time, the time you are either spending together or what you're doing apart from one another. That money, sex, how we disperse our household responsibilities. I'm gonna come back to that in a minute. And then extended family. Let me tell you what's so interesting about roles and responsibilities. When I talked about how you disperse your responsibilities, really roles and responsibilities, there was a book, and I actually love the book. I can't tell you the name of it, but I took a copy. I've been doing this a lot. I've been doing this a long time because I took that book and I took it to the copy machine and I put it and made copies like that. Nowadays, you can just do it, find it online. But this issue of roles and responsibilities was so serious. It was such an issue that the author of this book, oh, I wish I could find it, wrote out all of the possible roles and responsibilities that a couple would deal with. And I'm talking about, this list was extensive, like it was so extensive. And he encouraged the husband and the wife to go through and see who is responsible for what. Because I need you to understand, if you are taking on the bulk of all the responsibility in managing your household, of course, resentment is going to begin to build up. I just bless somebody with that. I just normalize the frustration that you are feeling. So why did I pause there? Why did I want to take a moment to talk about that? Well, because at some point in your marriage, one, if not all of these issues are going to show up, maybe all at one time. And when it does, of course, there are going to be raised emotions. Of course, there might be intense feelings. I just normalize the feeling of resentment that might come up for you. You may feel frustrated, and that's normal because we are human. So listen, we aren't created to be rigid creatures with no emotions. That goes for men and women. That goes for you and your man. God gave us both emotions. So just because you may feel tension in the midst of a hot button issue doesn't mean that you and your spouse have these big communication issues. Okay, that's important for you to understand. Just because y'all might have raised emotions every once in a while, that doesn't mean you have communication issues. If a situation triggers you and you, like the young people say, feel some kind of way, it does not automatically mean you and your spouse can't communicate. Now, I got to clarify that for you. I wanted to pause and say that because many of us have the cognitive distortion of catastrophizing. What is a cognitive distortion? Cognitive distortions are just stinking thinking. It's just the ways that we think that can be distorted. I often reference at least 15 cognitive distortions. If somebody reminds me after this, you can just email, you can DM me. I will put the 15 cognitive distortions in the portal so that you can figure out what your cognitive distortion is, because we all have them. One of the cognitive distortions is catastrophizing. Another way to say that is you putting 20 on 10. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Some of us have the cognitive distortion of catastrophizing. And so just because you and your spouse have an argument or y'all have an issue that you're having a hard time working through, that doesn't automatically mean y'all have communication issues, right? So the issue, we can say that we're having issues in communication when most of our communication goes wrong, or when we rarely can come to a mutual understanding, or when more often than not, we leave the conversation feeling dismissed or disrespected. That is when you need to be concerned about your communication. Are y'all with me? So listen, if you are listening to this and you're saying, oh, well, never mind, Robin, we good. I don't need, okay, that's not my story. We are good. I don't want you to turn this session off. This is still valuable information for you to continue on the right path of your communication and your connection. All right. So back to what we were talking about. Communication challenges can be boiled down to a connection issue. I so wish I was looking you eye to eye because this part is so important. I wish I could just be with you and hold you. I am such a touchy-feely person. I want to hold your hand. I want to look you in the eye. Listen to me. When a couple is having a hard time communicating, it's not necessarily that she has a problem with speaking words to her husband, or it's not necessarily that he has a hard time speaking words to his wife. Ongoing, frequent communication challenges, again, can be boiled down to a connection issue. I'm telling you, the Wives Intensive is a full on masterclass. I really want to know what takeaway you got from that one little snippet. That segment was session 1 of the Wives Intensive. Now, I want you to listen in to session 2. This is where we're talking about fix your foundation. And I'm sharing with the participants the 8 often overlooked components of a healthy relationship. And so in this snippet, I believe you're going to listen to 3, 4, and 5. 3, 4, and 5, those characteristics, which are number 3, number 4, and number 5 that we often overlook. We're going to start with expectations. So I want you to listen in on this, take some notes, girl, and let me know what you think. Okay, let's listen in. Building block number 3. Building block number 3. We're about to show a visual in just a moment. I'll let you know when I meet the visual. But number 3 is clearly communicated expectations. Building block number 3 is clearly communicated expectations. Listen. You showed up in your marriage after y'all said I do. I don't know if y'all went on a honeymoon. I don't know if y'all went back to the house. But after you said I do, you had your suitcase and you had all your lingerie packed in the suitcase, but you also had your issues packed in the suitcase. Your man showed up and in his suitcase was his issues too. And one of the challenges in our marriage is that we have not gotten crystal clear about the vision for our marriage, okay? So we haven't gotten crystal clear. Remember, so much of who we are is impacted by where we came from. So when you are trying to figure out what you want in your marriage, you're pulling from this and what you saw on TV and what you saw with your pastor and his wife and what you saw with your cousin who you really like. You're pulling all of this, and the two of you have not created a clear vision for your marriage. And so that shows up in challenges in our marriage when our expectations are not clear. I'm going to show you this visual, and I want to walk through this visual with you because I want you to understand what I mean about our expectations. Listen, in our marriages, we have what we expected, and we have what we are experiencing. We have what we expected and what we are experiencing. I want to give you a moment to take a picture of this. So the goal is to bridge the gap between what you expected and what you are experiencing. Because when your expectations are too far from what you're experiencing, a gap occurs. And in that gap becomes all of those frustrated emotions: anger, frustration, disappointment, hurt, resentment. You can say whatever feeling words you want to say. So we have to bridge the gap between what I expected and what I am experiencing. What do I mean by expectations? What you thought was going to happen. And our expectations are either unmet, they're either unexpressed, or they are unrealistic. Okay, let's come back to the main screen. I hope you got a picture of that. It also will be in the portal. And so here is the thing. What happens often in our marriage is that we are still not clear on the vision for our marriage. We still aren't clear on the vision for our marriage. And you got to get clear on that so that you can be clear on your expectations. And here is the truth of the matter. What happened or what was okay 5 years ago may not be okay today. So you have to consistently revisit the expectation. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Building block number 4. I'm going to run through the rest of these. Building block number 4 is accepting and valuing accountability. My God, my God. This is the one that people give me a lot of pushback on because they're like, Robin, I'm grown. I don't need people in my marriage. I have another big statement for you. If you don't want to be accountable, you don't want to be married. Drop the mic. If you don't want to be accountable, you don't want to be married. Accountability and marriage go together like peanut butter and jelly, like rice and sugar. It goes together. The secret to successful couples is a willingness to be influenced by your spouse. I just dropped a bomb on you and you didn't even realize it. A key to a successful marriage is to be positively influenced by your spouse. In other words, you are willing to receive feedback from your spouse. That is critically important. You want to be able to receive feedback from your spouse. Listen, and it's not just accountability with you and your spouse. You also need accountability from a multitude of counsel. The Bible says there is wisdom in a multitude of counsel. Now hear me. You need to hand select the multitude. Facebook is not the multitude. The ladies at the beauty shop are not the multitude. The fellas at the barbershop are not the multitude. You have to handpick the multitude. Who are the counsel, the wise counsel for you and your spouse? All right. Right. Let's keep going. Building block number 5. Building block number 5. The power of humility. Remember, we're talking about the 8 building blocks. These are often overlooked characteristics of a healthy marriage. You should be ranking you and your spouse. How are y'all doing when it comes to your anchor? How are y'all doing when it comes to your communicated expectations? How are y'all doing at number 5, the power of humility? Humility is simply a commitment to honor your spouse as you honor yourself. A willingness to admit what you don't know. Listen, you are not the end all be all of all the things. Humility is saying, I am willing to step back and allow my spouse to shine. How do you embrace humility? By embracing curiosity. Curiosity is a very important component of your marriage. Instead of making assumptions, I want to encourage you to be curious. Listen, if I say to my husband, hey, babe, did you remember to pay the light bill? Instead of, we're going to have a problem if you didn't pay the light bill. Do you see how one of those is more aggressive than the other? Humility is just my willingness to step back and be curious and ask questions and to accept that I don't know it all. And when I practice that, I am honoring my spouse. Listen, can that be exhausting? To have to reframe everything and rephrase everything. Sure, it can be exhausted, but you're going to start with the end in mind. When you're dealing with your communication, you want to start with the end in mind. What do I ultimately want? Do I want my spouse to hear me, or do I want my point to be proven? Yeah, I'm just waiting for y'all to say amen. Amen, lights. I'm waiting for y'all to say amen, Robin. What do I want the most? Do I want my spouse to hear me, to really receive what I'm saying, or do I want to be right? That's the question. There is this principle called the 5-to-1 principle, and that principle says that you need 5 positive interactions to overcome 1 negative interaction. The power of humility can help you have more positive interactions so that you're not constantly fighting the negative ones. Okay, so here is the final snippet I wanted to let you listen in on. So, the final session in the Wives Intensive was just talking to those women who are ready to throw in the towel. They are exhausted. They feel like they've done everything they can do. And so, I am saying, ask yourself these three questions. And so, in this snippet, you're going to hear question number one and why I am wanting you to ask yourself this question. Now, just for a little insight, in this session, we also talked about narcissism and gaslighting because that's a hot topic nowadays. Now, you're not going to hear that in this snippet. I just wanted you to know that we do unpack that. So listen in to question one that you need to ask yourself before you throw in the towel. Question number one. These are the three questions when it comes to the how do I want to say this? When it comes to your decision about the future of your marriage, there are three questions you want to ask yourself before you throw in the towel. This is for the woman who is on the brink. This is for the woman that is on the edge. This is for the woman that's saying, I cannot do this anymore. If you are at that place, here are three questions you need to ask yourself. Question number one, why? Why are you ready to walk away? Now, I know that may seem very simple. It may seem very basic, but I need you to be able to fully articulate why you are at the place that you are at. Why are you ready to throw in the towel? Why are you ready to walk away? Now, here is the thing, sister. I want you to hear me. You cannot go through this process if you do not embrace, let me rephrase that. You absolutely can go through this process. You cannot go through this process effectively if you do not embrace the power of curiosity. This is not the time to judge yourself. This is not the time to make yourself feel bad. Right now, we're just trying to understand why. I want you to journal it. If you have someone you trust and someone who believes in marriage, someone who believes in your destiny, you want to sit down with that person, or you can just journal it. You don't want to talk to the critic of marriage. You don't want to talk to the person who sees marriage as a fly by night, who doesn't see marriage as a covenant. Can I be Tim? See, this is how my brain works. I've been doing this for a minute now, so I think my brain is getting tired. So let me tell you what just came up for me. I am a woman of a certain age, and I have had a certain procedure that some women have with their body. I had a hysterectomy, child. I had a hysterectomy. And the way I act with the hysterectomy is like a hysterectomy is not a major surgery. A friend who somebody can be my age and they started talking about challenges with that time of the month. Have you thought about a hysterectomy? Have you thought? I tell anybody, have you thought about hysterectomy? Because it was such a life-changing experience for me. It improved my quality of life until I finally realized, Robin, a hysterectomy is a major surgery. You don't just pass out hysterectomies like you're passing out a bottle of water. And so when it comes to this conversation, you don't want to talk to somebody who is just passive about marriage, who just throws marriage away or says, you can get a divorce, you can get a divorce, everybody can get a divorce. No, you want to talk to somebody who is serious about marriage, who is serious about Jesus, and who is serious about your destiny. And you want to share with them why. Why? What is happening in your marriage? I have found when you can really get clear with why, especially in a safe space with somebody you trust, they may be able to help you see a perspective that you simply do not see. They may help you be able to consider some things you simply have not considered. So before you walk away, I need you to take some time to fully articulate. Remember, emotional intelligence, it is the ability to identify what you feel and to regulate your feelings. I want you to clearly identify, clearly be able to communicate why. That's question number one. All right, friend. I hope you enjoyed that experience listening in to the snippets from the Wives Intensive. Listen, it is not too late for you to join the summer camp for Christian wives. And if you're listening to this well after summer, girl, you still can join the experience. Just head over to IBelieveInMarriage.com/summer camp. IBelieveInMarriage.com/summer camp. Now, if you are a single girly, that's okay. You can still send the link to one of your friends. And girl, let me tell you this, because y'all are my sisters over here on this podcast. If you need a discount code, hit your girl up. Now, I'm going to give you a code if you reach out within 10 days of this episode airing. Now, if it's after 10 days, girl, just go ahead and make the full investment. But I will give you a discount code if you're listening to this within 10 days of this airing. I will give you a 20% discount. All right. I hope you enjoyed this. Please share it with your family and friends. Please subscribe to the channel. And that's it for our series, I Believe in Marriage. We will do about 2 more episodes, and then this season will be a wrap. I just love being on this journey with all of you, and I cannot wait to connect with you again soon. Y'all take care.